everybody, Livingston here. Today we're jumping into another Twilight Zone. This time it's Season 2, Episode 19, Mr. Dingle the Strong, came out March 2nd, 1961, and another episode I have not seen before. But before we get started, let's jump into your comments and see what you had to say about last week's episode, The Odyssey of Flight number 33. Antonio Dragon 88 says, this episode is one of a bunch of Twilight Zone episodes that was adapted into a graphic novel. It expands on the episode as well as updating the story to 1973 to show the passengers' lives in the future. Well, I guess they made it into the future, so that's pretty cool. It would have been interesting to see that visually more so than having to read it in a graphic novel, but hey, maybe I'll have to check that out sometime. Thanks, Antonio. California Hummus says, what's interesting about this episode is that it's usually the bags that get lost in the Twilight Zone. The dinosaur always makes me laugh. He just looks at them as if like, hey there. It's pretty much, he was minding his own business, eating some plants, having a good old time, until he looked up and saw a metal bird flying overhead. So, yeah, I had the same sort of thought too. I think I even made a comment about it, saying like, hey, look up there. He kind of looked like a friendly kind of guy, you know, the dinosaur. Efran 8. Hey, am I saying that right? You've commented a few times. Let me know, comment below if that's the way you say your name. Fran, or is it Efran 8? Yeah, let me know. I'd like to know. I'd like to get the names right. There's that TV show Manifest where the airplane lands 5 years into the future. Main difference being the people on the plane aren't aware of the time travel until they land. Yeah, I did watch that show. It was one of those shows that ran for, I think, 4 seasons? And I watched it when it was released on NBC, I believe it was. And then it went off the air. Then Netflix took it over and they actually finished the actual show. I love it when they can finish a series, even if it's only like one season. There was a show that came out back, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And it was something to do, it had Harvey Keitel in it. And the whole premise of the show was basically this guy who was a detective in the 70s. It ended up kind of going through like a 15-episode arc, and there was a massive twist at the end. I won't give it away what happened, but the show is called Life on Mars. Came out in 2008. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. Came out 16 years ago. It's one season, but they actually finished the entire story in one season. So I actually tell anybody, check it out. It's really worth watching just one time. I mean, it's one season, and it's bookended where it does have a finale. Tonight come 54, I guess that's how you say it. Thanks, by the way. Take a look at One Step Beyond, IMDb. Produced at the same time as the more well-known The Twilight Zone. The series was an extension of the tradition of radio, horror, and supernatural dramas such as Lights Out, The Mysterious Traveler, and The Witch's Tale. As with The Twilight Zone and the radio programs, each tale was bookended by an introduction and conclusion by a host. I'll have to check those out. Thanks for throwing them on my radar. Tiny Barrio says, this episode is one of the best. Loved it. Watched it so many times I've lost count. Really awesome episode. I don't know where it's going to rank in my top 5 when it comes to the entire season, but it might actually make it into the top 5 if the rest of the episodes aren't as good as, say, this one here. I don't know where I'm at when it comes to Season 2, like what's better, Season 1 or Season 2. I think so far Season 1 is the best season until maybe I get at the end of this episode I might have a different tune. I have no clue. Tiny Barrio says, this episode is one of the best. Loved it, watched it so many times I've lost count. Yeah, for a first-time viewing, I can see why you would want to watch it over and over again. It's really an entertaining episode about just the time travel in general. Doesn't give you any kind of reasoning why the airplane is going into time travel here and there. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the newest Indiana Jones movie. Ben Rositas 8068 says, I could have sworn the captain was Robert Stack, but it wasn't. Sure looks and sounds like him, though. Anyway, when I first saw this episode as a kid, I immediately thought of the Sinclair Brontosaurus when they saw the Brontosaurus out the window. I wonder if the Sinclair mascot served as an inspiration for that scene. That's a possibility. I mean, but it is a Brontosaurus, and Brontosauruses do have a particular look about them, so maybe they just pulled it from the actual design of the actual dinosaur. Who knows? But, yeah, they do favor. I can tell you for sure. And, yeah, when the guy started speaking, he has that Robert Stack sort of creepy vibe about him. I loved Robert Stack. I loved him in Airplane. But I remember most from Unsolved Mysteries with the song, and I was probably about 6 or 7 years old at the time when that show was going, and just the music in general scared me to where I didn't want to watch it. Wookson5847 says, Idlewild Airport is called JFK Airport now. Yeah, I think we read that in the trivia at the end of the episode. But thanks for commenting. Charles Stewart 8009 says, my wife and I have been watching The Outer Limits lately. We're halfway through the first season so far. Mixed bag, some good and some not so much. I actually watched the first episode last week, and I was going to post it this past Sunday, but I didn't get a chance to. I was feeling a little down and out. Mostly, I guess it's because of sinuses. That's been going around here lately. You're in the northern part of Georgia. The leaves are changing. It's going to summertime. It's just a different way. We have like a lot of hay cutting going on as well. So, I mean, we go from spring to like them cutting hay, and it just makes a bunch of people have a lot of sinus issues. So, I don't know why I jumped into that. But anyways, yeah, I will be going into The Outer Limits, and I started season 1, episode 1. I'll probably be posting it this coming Sunday. Yeah, I wasn't so thrilled about the first episode of The Outer Limits, but I want to keep on trucking and seeing what the rest of the season entails. But we'll see what happens. Thanks for commenting. Empire Jeff says they came pretty close to the correct time, considering they were in the dinosaur period before. Yeah, they came pretty close to the correct time when they came back, considering they were in the dinosaur period before. That's true. Okay. So they went back 65 million years, and when they came back, but they were about, 23 years apart from the time they came from. So it's... yeah, I guess they got close, but I don't know how you were able to control what time they came out of. That was the thing. They never really kind of told you what was up with that, as well as the plane was almost out of gas. So if they were going to make more jumps, at some point they would have to land, right? I don't know. It's one of those episodes where you can talk about it forever. I don't think you'll ever come to an actual agreement just because they didn't really have a way to... find their destination. It wasn't like a DeLorean where you can put in the date where you are having to go or where you're having to come from. You're just taking your chances. Wookson5847 says, I hear a jet overhead. Maybe it is Global 33. Possibly. The Cosmic Kid 2562 says, always liked this episode, but yeah, bro, no. We're not trying this again. I'd rush to the cockpit, make him land. I'm not going to take the chance of getting stranded with the Flintstones. I'd rather change history. The elderly lady passenger I recognize as the maid Thelma, Betty Gard, from the episode of The Honeymooners titled A Woman's Work Is Never Done. I've never watched The Honeymooners. I don't know if it's going to be one that I'm ever going to actually revisit at some point, but I do know what The Honeymooners is about. Jackie Gleason. I remember him most from Smokey and the Bandit, of course. I think his last movie was a Tom Hanks movie. I can't remember the name of it right now, but he passed away like in 1985, 1986, Jackie Gleason. But yeah, pretty awesome that you were able to point out an actual actor or actress from that era, which is like, 1940s when that show was going? Yeah, I mean, it's a very old television show. It's like one of the first sitcom shows, I think. Enrique Minnow 9963 says, Idlewild Airport. I landed with my mom, and I was a child of 1.5, and Idlewild is the future JFK International. Yeah, we were just talking about that earlier on. Awesome that you were able to go to the airport before it turned into JFK International. But, yeah, I think one time I was in an airport. The only time I actually got to see the history of the airport when I was stuck at one in Chicago. And I was there overnight, 24 hours. It was a snowstorm. It was Midway Airport. And very interesting. They had a lot of historical things going on there. But I'm just not a fan of flying in general. I will fly. It's not like I'm scared of it completely, but I'm usually white-knuckling it the entire time I'm up in the air. So let me know, comment below, who's out there not too fond of flying, especially recently since they have like hot doors flying off and things coming off and engines catching on fire and whatnot. So it's mostly Boeing airplanes. I'd be leery about flying Boeing right now, but that's just my take on it. Charles Stewart 8009 says, weird, I saw this episode many years ago and I thought it had a different ending. I don't know, Mandela effect? Yeah, possibly. There's a lot of things that I thought were a possibility. I mean, what was the one popular one where it's like Shazam and Kazam? Does everybody remember the one with Sinbad who played a genie? It turns out that's really not a movie. It's Shazam with, or is it Shazam or is it Kazam? I don't know. The one with Shaquille O'Neal, where he plays a genie. Everyone confuses that with a Sinbad version of that movie where he was also a genie, and turns out that's not the case either. And there's a few other ones out there. Actually, look it up. It's on Google. There's a lot of Mandela effects that you thought it was this and it ends up being something completely different. But anyways, let's jump into the episode and see what we're getting into.
The Twilight Zone. Uniquely American Institute.
We'll right into it.
Reading left to right are Mr. Anthony O'Toole, proprietor. This is Mr. Joseph J. Callahan, an unregistered bookie. And this animated citizen is every anonymous bettor who ever dropped rent money in a horse race, a prize fight.
Oh, it's Don Rickles.
And this is Mr. Luther Dingle.
And that's Burgess Meredith again. We've seen him in season 1 where he survived end of the world doomsday scenario, and he had all the books in the world he was able to read, and he broke his glasses.
Look, the final score was Pittsburgh 3, Dodgers nothing. That means you owe me $5.
I know a bum call when I see one. You're nothing but a cheating insult to the American bookie.
Oh, he almost went cross-eyed with that one.
There's 5 seconds to take back that innuendo.
Callahan, I told you once before already. You started another brawl in here, and I'm gonna fix that mouth of yours so...
Why me? Tell it to the troublemaker here.
You took the jacket off.
Yeah. Well, mainly on account it was a bum call, that's why. Did you watch the game on television last night? Duke Snyder was up, and it was in the 9th inning. And this umpire, with no pupils in his eyes, calls a foul ball and out.
Matter of fact, I did watch the game on television. Exceptional defensive play, exceptional. Abner Doubleday would have been proud.
It's got a stutter.
Rules very definitely state that the batter was out.
Yes, the man, you got an answer.
You're calling me a liar?
Well, someone lost.
Well, it's my considered opinion.
Whoa.
Dingle, I hit him last week, you hit him a week before.
A man can only stand so much.
You can call the cops. Of course, they didn't really do that back then.
Am I crooked? How about that? Tell him. You gotta believe me. Am I crooked?
Hit him in the nose. This is the best time to do it. He won't do it.
Are you serious? Are you serious about this?
Don't hit him.
What is that?
And these two unseen gentlemen are visitors from outer space.
Unseen? That was just random.
We'll take a short constitutional into that most unpredictable region that we refer to as
The Twilight Zone.
You sure we're invisible? Beyond any doubt.
Oh, well, they speak English.
You don't even have to answer this guy. Now, just because he don't happen to like the Phillies...
Let me tell you. What did you think of the Phillies of 1953?
Did you ever see such jerky-looking creatures? Typical Earthmen.
Typical.
The one in the middle, the one who just suffered the physical damage, he may be the very one we've been looking for.
Got hairy ears.
You intend to give him the additional strength?
Strength, huh? So they're kind of doing experiments. Hopefully he doesn't get anal probed. When did that become a thing with aliens?
Robin Roberts had more stuff than Clem Labine?
Being equal.
Come on already, take your pick.
Roberts?
Oh, hit him again.
Now, look what you've done to this poor guy.
All I made him do was see things clearer.
They can observe him now. Let him have it.
Do it. Oh, power. I feel strong.
How you doing?
Definitely Clem Labine.
You mind a little advice?
Sure.
Just don't talk. Just nod. Somebody asks you who you like in the third, you just smile.
I feel funny.
How so?
Vacuum cleaners. Light as a feather. Yes, sir, I tell you, it's a handy-dandy, Jim Cracker, A1 piece of merchandise. This light,
I always figure for a nice guy. You never caused me no trouble. Now, why all of a sudden do you gotta wreck my front door?
It's not he meant it.
Door seemed to come right off in my hands.
Did my old man say he was gonna punch you in the nose if you came around here bothering us again?
What a jerk.
I was headed across the street. Best of all possible manners, is it?
And throw my ball back.
Such a jerk. The hell?
To learn to fling a ball like that.
Well, I don't know. I really don't what is happening. Taxi, please. They don't make handles like they used to, do they?
Don't know your own strength. Howdy.
I don't want you to think I'm a masher. I'm certainly not a masher.
A masher.
Do you mind answering a question? Do I appear abnormal in any way?
Not unless you plan to use that in the park.
But that is the least of my trouble. Would you be interested in hearing the most of my worries?
What? You're gonna lift the whole bench up. Yeah, the scream.
Watch this.
Buddy, I'm a reporter with the Bulletin. Would you mind doing that again?
There's no gag, see?
World's strongest man. Now he's a somebody. You're famous. He's gonna wake up with a smile on his face. Can you shut that off? That's one way to doing it. Rip it. Oh, he ripped it. No big deal. Is the twist at the end going to be the aliens going to come back, take his power away, and who knows what happens after that?
Well, this is a con artist. Your future lies in television. Now, here's our idea for the series. A simple 15-minute across-the-board address by you with little examples of your physical prowess.
Inside of 8 months, I'll have you fighting for the world championship.
I've never heard of it.
Get out of the way, please.
All right.
Please, that light there, and... Hello there, friend.
Hello.
Who, if what actual onlookers say is true, is the world's strongest man. Do you care to give us an example of this fantastic alleged strength of yours?
All right, Mr. O'Toole, if I...
Are you kidding? Why, I ain't done so much business until tonight they repealed the 18th Amendment.
If you don't know what the 18th Amendment is, it is the declaring the production, transport, and sale of intoxicating liquors, which made them illegal. Basically prohibition. He's so strong. Can't you just lift somebody instead of ruining this guy's shop? Oh, there's your bully.
Ain't you ever heard of bygones being bygones?
Now he's scared of him. Oh, you deserve that one. The aliens have returned.
We give him the strength of 300 men, and he uses it for petty exhibition. Then remove the power.
Excellent idea.
3 planets on tomorrow's itinerary. One should be particularly interesting. Contains only females.
Uh-oh. Powers are gone.
He's a fake, that's what he is.
He's a fake now? Well, that sucks. I thought he was going to have like a happy ending. Or he'll be respected, but guess not. Powers are gone, my friend. What now?
Come on, beat it.
Well, at least there's a good bartender.
So long, Hercules. I'll bring that thing out of here.
How quick they turned. I mean, they watched him do so many great things, and then suddenly it's like, oh, we can't do it anymore? You're no use to us. Who in the heck are these people?
Apollo.
Nice seeing you.
Where are you from?
Venus, how about you?
Mars.
Sudden introduction of extreme intelligence. Find any interesting subjects?
That one over there. He's referred to as a Dingle.
Oh, now he's going to be real smart.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he's submental, too.
Well, see you later. This guy's real lucky.
Give him the intelligence quota, Ray. Perhaps 500 times more intelligent than the average human.
That'll do it. Okay, now he's 500 times smarter than anybody else. What will he do with it, though?
Here's the pitch. High and outside.
Ah, what are they kidding? He couldn't hit the length of the bat. What about it? What do you think he'll do?
This special process of calculus, Finaglean laws of chance, and of course the subdivision of rubble, which is based on the position of bodies. I think that the batter will unquestionably hit a home run.
A home run by Johnny Logan.
Holy mackerel!
Whoa. He did it.
It is apparent and in mathematical plan that the entire quantum theory of space and time relativity must of necessity equated with the Parallelian law of definitive numerical dialectic algebra.
Exit Mr. Luther Dingle, formerly vacuum cleaner salesman, strongest man on Earth, and now mental giant. Offhand, I'd say that he was in for a great deal of extremely odd periods, simply because there are so many inhabited planets who send down observers, and also because, of course, Mr. Dingle lives his life with one foot in his mouth and the other in the Twilight Zone.
Interesting episode. Interesting indeed. Well, that was Mr. Dingle the Strong. I enjoyed that one. It wasn't the best, it wasn't the worst, but I gotta say, I was entertained by the episode itself. It actually reminded me a lot of the movie that came out in 2015, starring Simon Pegg and Kate Beckinsale, and it's called Absolutely Anything. I think it's the last role of Robin Williams. He starred as the voice of the dog in the movie, but the whole interpretation of the movie is basically about this guy who is given all the power in the universe. Anything he thinks of, anything he wants, it pops up. It's his to do with as he wants. And the aliens are basically challenging or testing mankind to see if they should be destroyed or if they shouldn't be. So it's like another movie that's based off of a Twilight Zone loosely, and it was an interesting episode. I also enjoy Burgess Meredith. I mean, he's just a very fun character actor in general. Played the Penguin. Also, when he was in that role in the last episode that we seen him in season 1, he was a totally different person. I mean, that's what acting's all about, right? In this one, he's a stuttering fool in a way. I shouldn't say fool. He wasn't an idiot. He just let people walk all over him, especially Don Rickles. Just one of those things where he just didn't mind being bullied, and he was okay with it, and he didn't pick up any of his fists to defend himself, and it was kind of sad. But at the very end, that was the twist of Twilight Zone, where those two little aliens end up showing up, and they gave him all the intelligence in the world. Curious what he's going to do with that, because when he had his strength, all he did was try to do parlor tricks, and he got notoriety and a little bit of fame with it. But at some point, that stuff runs out. He should have done something good with it. I think that's what the aliens were wanting. They were wanting him to do something good with that power, wondering maybe he'll do something good with the knowledge that he was given, but who knows what exactly is going to happen after you tell this episode. It's another one of those episodes where it's like, what happens after the episode's finished? Just like the episode last week. What happened when that airplane, does it land? Does it go to a different time? See, it's just one of those things that Twilight Zone likes to do, where it leaves you guessing, wondering what's going to happen, what would happen if you continued on with the story. And I think it's probably a good way to end a lot of the episodes. But anyways, let's see what it took to get this episode off the ground by reading a little bit of trivia. This was Douglas Spencer's final acting role before his death in October 1960. This was Douglas Spencer's final acting role before his death on October 6, 1960, at the age of 50. Douglas Spencer, he actually played, I think, one of the aliens, so it's pretty sad that he died. In this episode, and many others like Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up, a majority of the actors are smoking due to the demand of one of the Twilight Zone sponsors, a cigarette company. Well, we don't do too much of that these days, now do we? The phone book that Mr. Dingle rips in half is the June 1960 edition of the Los Angeles Telephone Directory. Rod Serling had previously used the name Mr. Dingle for the main character called Mr. Denton in the film in the filmed episode Mr. Denton on Doomsday. So Mr. Dingle was supposed to be Mr. Denton. That's interesting. And both were played by Burgess. The street where Dingle throws the football is the same street from The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. Oh, okay. Near the end, the bartender said that business had not been this good since the repeal of the 18th Amendment. Ratified in 1919, the 18th Amendment instituted prohibition. It was repealed in 1933, 28 years before the original airing of the episode. The man trying to get Mr. Dingle to appear on TV compares Dingle to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Burgess Meredith played Harry in Tom, Dick, and Harry. Michael Fox, who is the second Martian, later played Tom Carter in Examination Day, A Message from Charity, 1985. Well, that's it for this episode. Tune in next week for the next... that's it for this episode. Tune in next week for the next episode. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe while you're at it. Well, that's the end of this episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to continue on this journey to episode 156 of The Twilight Zone. And until next time, see you later.